All right, I'm going to talk to the camera, but Rocky is also here. And we're going to talk about why CrossFit will change your life. I think this is a question that we get a lot, or even a question that I like to answer for people as why I do this as a profession, why this space exists, why CrossFit has boomed a ton in the last several years. And I think that one of the reasons is because it definitely changes your life. That's one of the reasons that it's exploded and done so well. But why? Like, why? What is the driving factors behind that to make that happen? Have a good one.
Enjoy class.
Thank you. That's Varden. CrossFit changed his life. So I'm going to talk about three different things when it comes to why I think that CrossFit changes people's lives. One of those things is going to be fitness and or health. The other one is going to be community. And the third one is going to be doing hard things. And doing hard things can kind of be under a community piece, but it can also be out on its own piece as well. So we're going to talk about how fitness or being fit is going to change your life. We're going to talk about how being a part of a CrossFit community is going to change your life, and we're going to talk about how doing hard things positively impacts your life as well. So the first one that we'll talk about is something that I talk about often with an intro session, is what I call the sickness, wellness, fitness continuum that all of us lie on as far as health metrics go. Sickness over here, wellness in the middle, and fitness over here. And all sorts of things that are biometrically measured, things that the doctor can tell you, things like your blood pressure, your heart rate, your body fat percentage, your blood glucose, A1C levels, like all the things, high density cholesterol, low density cholesterol, all the things the doctor can say that you're normal, you're not normal, you're normal, you're not normal. We are going to skip that portion of this continuum today, and we are going to shift to the fitness side of that continuum and how to figure out, like, how do those two things correlate. I think that it's important to kind of make the distinction that correlations are not always causations, but when we're talking about the sickness, wellness, fitness chart for our health metrics and the sickness, wellness, fitness chart for our fitness, they might overlap with each other a ton, and we're going to talk about how that kind of works. So when we're talking about somebody who is in the wellness category for fitness, like their average fitness, we can kind of think of some things that they may be capable of. And one of those things might be a mile run in 10 minutes, 10-minute mile. That is not too fast, that's not too slow. That's somebody that's not crazy fit, but they're definitely jogging the entire time, right? They're not walking during a 10-minute mile. They're probably jogging 80 to 90% of that, maybe taking a couple of quick short breaks. Another one would be a deadlift in comparison to their own body weight. A deadlift for somebody who's in this wellness category, so right down the middle, probably is going to be able to pick up their own body weight with a barbell. So we're going to say body weight. And we'll think of one more as well. We'll use two of them, and we'll do two different categories. We'll think of a gymnastics piece here. We're going to think about a push-up or a pull-up, a push-up or a pull-up. The person who's in this average category, this wellness category, potentially pretty fit, not pretty fit, but very average, is either doing one push-up or one pull-up unassisted. So they can do one push-up on the ground or one pull-up up on a pull-up bar. Supinated or pronated grip, does not matter. So these things are not crazy by any means, but if you saw somebody who could run a 10-minute mile they could lift up their body weight up off the ground, and they could do one push-up and one pull-up. You're thinking, well, that person is fit. That person can do some things. They're in a normal category. Just like our health biometrics with blood pressure and heart rate and cholesterol, we can move two directions from this normal range for things, right? We'd never look at somebody and say, you can run a 10-minute mile, you're crazy fit. No, like you're right in the middle, but we can go two directions. We can go towards the right, towards fitness, and we can go towards the left, towards sickness. So as your physician sees, he gets to see where you're at for all of your health metrics. I don't really get to see those numbers. What I get to see is these things from you. And so I'm gonna look at some things that I'm looking for when you're in here in the gym, getting better or getting worse, or where you're at. So we'll look at this sickness side over here first. Like, what does it look like that someone that probably deals with some sort of chronic illness or chronic disease or is on their way towards that, what does their fitness look like on this side? And that's probably something like a 15-minute plus mile, meaning they're walking for maybe most of that mile, if not all of that mile, and walking that mile is difficult for them. Something like a deadlift. How much weight could that person pick up off the ground? And somebody that's over on the sickness side is probably only picking up about 1/2 of their body weight up off the ground for a deadlift. So that's taking something and picking it up off the ground. And then with our push-up and pull-up, they have 0 push-ups and 0 pull-ups unassisted on their own. They have 0, they cannot do it. Upper body pushing, pulling strength is not there. Maybe even difficulty hanging from a bar. So I'll say hang for less than 10 seconds. That's somebody in this sick category. When somebody is over here, I'm probably gonna make some assumptions that there's probably some other things that are going on inside their health as well. That is not just being unfit. Maybe they've got blood pressures, maybe they have heart rates, maybe they have body fat percentages that are outside of normal ranges. And then we can look at the other side of this fitness side of things. And on this fitness side of things, we'll look at these same 3 little metrics. On these metrics, somebody who is very, very fit, they're running a mile and probably faster than 10 minutes, probably faster than 8 minutes, maybe somewhere in that 6-minute range. A 6-minute mile for running. Their deadlift, body weight, I'm gonna say a DL on here, just so it's clear. Their deadlift, picking something up off the ground. Somebody who's in this very fit category over here on the far right is probably lifting 2 to 3 to 3 times their body weight. So if somebody weighs 150 pounds, they're probably lifting 300 to 400 pounds on a deadlift. And then last one, push-ups and pull-ups. Somebody who is unfit, or somebody who is very, very fit, push-ups and pull-ups, you're probably looking at somebody who can do 25 to 35 push-ups or pull-ups unbroken or in a row, meaning without stopping. They could do 25 push-ups up on the ground, hop up on a pull-up bar, and they could do 20 to 25 pull-ups as well, whether that's strict or it's skipping. Either one does not matter. So we've got this range, and these are the things that I get to see when you're inside a CrossFit gym. I'm not measuring your blood glucose. I'm not measuring your blood pressure when you're in here. These are the things that are happening inside the CrossFit gym. Our big goal is to get you moving in this direction. And if I can move you in this direction over here, it's going to translate to something else that we call the say yes, or your ability to do things. When we're doing things like these pieces over here, they're going to correlate with better health metrics. So yes, you're going to have a better blood pressure, you're going to have a better heart rate, you're going to have a better body fat percentage, you're gonna have a more stable blood glucose, but there's other things that are gonna happen because of that as well, and I wanna talk about that next. So once we're over here, this is what it's gonna start to look like for our say yes chart. This is kind of our metabolic pathways that we have. This is percentage of power output on this side over here, and this is time on this side. We've got a phosphocreatine system, a glycolytic system, and an oxidative system. We're not going to go into the physiology of how we metabolize energy right now, but we are going to look at this curve right here for energy balance. We'll see if I can use a different marker. Or work capacity. We're going to have this line here. And we all start with a baseline work capacity, or if we're talking about that chart left to right, we have a starting point of what we can and cannot do. And that's kind of determined by how we can use energy. But from there, as we move towards the right side of that chart, that fitness side, one of the big goals is to increase this space here. So I want to lift this line in all different areas. And if I can lift this line, prior to, I would consider this, so-and-so's ability to do things, physical things, running, jumping, swimming, biking, hiking, backpacking, a race, triathlon, weightlifting, whatever you want to do, that's your ability to do things. When we get more fit, when we move towards the right side of that fitness continuum, we're adding things that we can do. So eventually, I want to put you further over on the right and add this to your ability to do things. And we call this your say yes curve, right? We increase your work capacity because I want you to be able to say yes to whatever you want to be able to say yes to. I don't ever want your ability to do something to keep you from saying yes to something that you want to be able to do. Whether that is, hey, my friend said, hey, you want to go on this bike ride with us? And you're like, I don't know if I can. Hey, do you want to do this backpacking trip? I don't know if we can, or if I can. Hey, do you want to go out and surf? And you're like, I don't know if I can do that or if I can handle that. I want you to be able to say yes to as much stuff as you want to say yes to. The more stuff that you can say yes to, probably the more things you are going to say yes to. So that is how this is going to change as far as like fitness goes. Yes, we're going to move ourselves to the right for fitness. We're going to move away from those health metrics that are chronic diseases. But we're also, when we move away from those, we're also going to be able to say yes to a lot of different things. So that is work inside the gym in our fitness realm, and why CrossFit's going to change fitness-wise what you're doing. This next piece is arguably the more important piece. It's our community piece. Let's see, I think it was this one. And we're going to talk about why being a part of a community is going to change your life for the better. There's the first couple of things that we're going to talk about is groups versus solo, and communities. The evidence is abundantly clear that human beings are social creatures and that we thrive in groups. So when we're talking about anything out, like it's not related to fitness at all, humans do better collectively as a group. So when it comes specifically to working out, we talk about groups or solo. There is a small percentage of people that are able to do things on their own by themselves without any kind of group atmosphere, support, social structure, anything like that. I would say that those are people that are probably have a couple of other qualities that allow them to do something solo And that's not a bad thing, but it's not something that, generically speaking, humans are built for, is to be solo creatures. We're built to be a part of the community. So first thing is, groups are going to allow us to have some friendships with other people. Potentially, if you're not working, potentially your only friendships, but if you are working, outside of your family relationships or work relationships. I think it's important to make distinctions between family, friends, or family, work, and fun. And I would call fitness under that category of fun for you. The second thing that a group allows you to do, or a community allows you to do, is something called accountability. When you are a part of a group, the likelihood that you achieve the things that you say you're going to achieve rise dramatically. There is a ton of research with doing things as a part of a group and having a group of other people to speak to talk to give direction to, or bounce ideas off. That things are a lot more productive when we work in groups than if we work solo. The third thing that we're going to talk about is support. And this kind of feeds off of accountability. S-U-P-P-O-R-T, support. Support is a little bit different than accountability. Accountability is the hard stuff when you need to hear the hard stuff. Support is an opposite manner of that. Support is the good stuff when you need to hear the good stuff. Inside of a community, we can get both of those things. Right? In a solo environment, I think it can be difficult to be the person that holds yourself accountable and also be the person that gives yourself some grace. And if we're going to be growing as human beings, there's going to be times that we're going to have good days, there's going to be times we're going to have some rough days. And if we are part of a community that holds us accountable, but also supports us when we need it, we're going to be more successful, we're going to be happier. That's probably going to lead us towards growth as well. The next two is social. You can think of these things as stuff that's outside of the gym space. So being a part of a community is likely more than just showing up to the doors and leaving throughout the doors, showing up to the doors and leaving out the doors. There's probably a lot more social interactions that are happening because of the community that is built inside or fostered inside a facility like a CrossFit gym. You can think of things like backpacking trips, you can think of things like evenings out, you can think of things like hiking trips, you can think of things like signing up for races together. You could think about a nutrition challenge that maybe everybody would do together. Things that are social interactions that are happening because of the community that you are a part of. That doesn't mean that you're showing up to the space every single day, but it is the community of people who have similar thoughts and values to you as well. And then the last one, under community, I went back and forth between putting this one under community and under doing hard things, and it's collective intelligence. And collective intelligence, maybe another or similar word for that is going to be collective intuition. When there is a bigger group of people, people are able to connect people with each other that for things that they might need. Somebody might say, hey, I need my house painted. Does anybody know anybody? And I'm going to be able to choose somebody from a group of people that I trust. If somebody might say, hey, I need my hair cut. Who can I get my hair cut from? Hey, I have this going on. Can anybody help me with this? Or I have questions about this. Does anybody have answers for me? When we're part of a community, we have an opportunity to bounce ideas or gain information from that community. We are definitely, a lot better. And in the world of the internet, we can also figure that out as well, right? Is like, hey, when people from the other side of the globe are communicating with people from this side of the globe. We're able to share information and ideas a lot cleaner, and everybody rises because of that. I think that's what I'm trying to get at with collective intelligence here, or intuition is, hey, if I have a community that I'm a part of, I can rely on them for other things that I might need in my life or to bring up my intelligence in some manner. Cool. And the last little piece that I will talk about here is doing hard things. Why doing hard things will make your life better. The biggest reason that I think that doing hard things will make your life better is something that we call growth mindset. There's a couple of quotes that I think of. There's a Ricky Bobby quote that says, "If you ain't first, you're last." But in a similar realm, there's another quote that says, "If you ain't living, you're dying." And I can apply that same principle to something like growth. If you're not growing, you're shrinking. And something as humans that we like to feel as fulfillment for our life is some sort of growth, some sort of progress, some sort of move in the right direction or any direction, right? Growth in any direction. We as humans want to feel that fulfillment or that growth in some manner. So being a part of a CrossFit gym is definitely going to challenge you inside of a growth mindset. That will start in the gym as a fitness piece. You're going to learn new movements, you're going to be challenged on techniques, you're probably going to do different combinations of reps and loading, you're going to work on skills that maybe you haven't worked on before, and that's going to start to put you in a growth mindset. Once we're in a growth mindset inside the gym, the brain starts to get wired for learning. Starts to make connections, make neural pathways quicker and faster. And the cool thing about the brain is it doesn't know when it's in the gym and when it's not in the gym. So if I'm making those connections inside the gym, I'm also able to start learning things outside of the gym faster than if I wasn't doing any kind of learning inside of the gym. So I'm making those neural pathways stronger and stronger, deadlifting more, squatting more, snatching more, doing more pull-ups, learning gymnastics, and then it's going to translate to things outside of the gym as well. It's going to translate to reading more books. It's going to translate to learning new skills outside of the gym. It's going to translate to taking a new course or going back and getting more education, and being able to pick up things quicker than what you were before. I know a lot of people say, hey, I'm way past my learning years, I'm never going to learn anything anymore, and then come into the gym and find out, holy smokes, I can learn so much, I've learned so much here, I'm going to go try some new things outside of the gym as well, and find that those transfer over quite well. The next thing that we're going to do, or talk about with doing hard things, is challenge. Growth happens when challenge is presented. Another word, we can use it, I like challenge, but another word for challenge would be like a trauma of some sort, or a stimulus or event of some sort. In order to grow, at some point, I have to be challenged or have some sort of trauma, and trauma is the reason I don't like to use the word trauma, because trauma can mean a lot of different things, or some sort of stimulus that happens. From that, there's probably a dip in a response, and then a growth from that response. So doing hard things presents challenge, and when I can do challenge, growth is going to happen. And there's one other piece that comes from growth as well, is competence and confidence come from growth. And competence and confidence do not only have to be in the gym. Competence and confidence can be in a lot of different areas, but when I know that I can do challenging things, no matter whether they're in the gym or outside of the gym, I gain a confidence in myself or in my ability to do things, my competence as well, that leads to a more fulfilling life outside of the gym, right? We're talking about things outside of the gym. The next one, I'm gonna say extreme ownership. This is a book from Jocko Willink, but it's also something that when we deal with hard things, growth mindset, that we are able to do. There is a resiliency that comes from intentionally putting yourself in a stressful situation or a difficult situation, so that when something outside of our control happens, we are able to take some extreme ownership over that situation and respond how we want to respond and not react to something. When we can do that, we typically find that outcomes are far greater. And what I mean by outcomes is a very general term. Outcomes can mean I get stronger. Outcomes can mean I save the relationship. Outcomes can mean I go on a trip that I never thought I could go on. Outcomes mean in an emergency situation, I was able to save somebody's life. Outcomes are generally better when we are able to put ourselves in difficult situations in a intentional time, so that when difficult situations happen unintentionally or outside of our control or circumstances, we handle way better. We call those outcomes. And the last thing that we'll talk about on why it'll change your life is we'll call it fulfillment. Maybe there's a special person, but all of us would like to say, or probably could say, yes, I want to live a fulfilling life. Then we ask ourselves that follow-up question, what does it mean to live a fulfilling life for you? And I think that one of the biggest reasons why CrossFit will change your life is because for a lot of people, a fulfilling life can mean these three things, right? A fulfilling life means that I can stay away from chronic illness for as long as I possibly can. It means that I can say yes to those things that I want to say yes to. A fulfilling life means that I'm a part of a community or a social structure that allows me support and accountability, allows me to be positive and holds me accountable, right? I want to be a part of a group that I get good social interactions from. I feel loved by my friends and my family, and I want to learn from those people as well, that community. And living a fulfilling life means that I've grown throughout my life. I've challenged myself throughout my life. I've gotten better outcomes than what I got before, right? We all will make mistakes, but our goal is that I'm growing in some manner. So I think that the biggest thing when it comes down to it is, hey, I'm looking to live a fulfilled life. And what does it mean to live a fulfilled life? For a lot of us, the things that I've talked about today with fitness, community, and doing hard things will help us live that fulfilled life or feel like we've lived a fulfilled life. And that's one of the biggest reasons that I think that CrossFit will change your life. Walk into a CrossFit gym anywhere, and you're probably going to see a ton of people who would agree with this sentiment that, hey, I'm living a more fulfilling life because I started something like CrossFit. If you said, okay, what does it mean to you to live a fulfilling life? They may not be able to explain this, but if we sat down and talked about it, they said, that's exactly what I mean. So I'd encourage anybody who wants to try something like a CrossFit to try something like a CrossFit. It can be intimidating. Don't let it be intimidating, right? Walking in the doors, like, let me show you. What are you doing on Monday? What are you doing on Tuesday? Come on in. We'll make sure that you're taken care of. We'll make sure that you're doing the things that you need to be doing. And remember that it's not just about the fitness or the gains or the gym, but there's also a ton of things outside of that space as well that will move towards fulfilling your life or having you live a fulfilling life. Cool. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll see you here.